Hello, all things Montessori community. Hi. Man, it's been a while, and I want to kind of explain why there was a little bit of a lag time between my last episode and now all these other episodes that I'll be releasing over the next few months. So in my last episode, I got kind of real with everybody talking about mental health and, what a hard time I had in 2021. And that, is something that's, deeply personal, but I think it's something that is just important to talk about. So I really was reflecting on that episode and then also where I wanted to go with this, new year of all things Montessori. And so I've just been really deep in planning and taking my time. I think Jamie and I, when we first started the podcast, we just wanted to get content out there because I really felt that there was a need for a Montessori podcast that teachers or parents or just anyone interested could kind of use as a resource. And while I definitely still feel that way, I think now, it's a little bit different because now we have such a robust, catalog of things. If you go back through our episode list, there's so many things we've already talked about. And now I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional just about what kind of interviews that I have on and just really seeing what the community is looking for. So when I did that kind of question and answer thing on Instagram, thank you so much for all your responses. That was so incredible to see the community respond like that. It honestly, it brought me to tears because I was like, wow, this community is still there. They still want content. They still want the podcast because I didn't know. Sometimes when you make a podcast, you have the statistics, you can see how much downloads you get, but you don't know. So anyway, thank you so much for just being involved in the community. And people have reached out to me and asked, when the podcast is coming back, and all of those messages, they mean so much. And I'm so excited to be back. So anyway, I'm back. And thank you all for listening and downloading and commenting and reviewing. And if you're a Patreon member, thank you so much. We actually have a new Patreon member to welcome. Welcome, Natalie. She became a patron a little bit ago, and thank you so much for your support. I'm really excited for the direction of the Patreon, actually, and that's been another kind of section of the planning, thinking about what can kind of serve that community best. So if you are a Patreon member, I'm going to be communicating to you guys in a little bit, just sort of wanting to know what would be worth it, whatever you're donating, if it's $3, $5, $1, or if you don't donate at all, whatever. Knowing what that community needs. So anyway, what I want to talk about today, I want to just talk about what I've been up to. So I am working in a classroom again, and I'm working as an assistant. And when I was interviewing and when I was approached with the job, I was like, oh, well, I've already been a guide. I don't know, is it going to feel weird to be an assistant, but I was really looking forward to getting back in the classroom, but I wanted to take my time. I didn't really want to sign on to be a full-time guide just because I wasn't sure if I was ready to be back in it yet. And so this seemed like the perfect opportunity to step back in slowly and gradually, and honestly, in a totally different way. Jamie and I talked about it, and she was an assistant before she was a teacher. And she really spoke to how that experience can help you as a guide and just as a Montessorian in general. And my eyes have been absolutely opened by the amount of things as an assistant that you see, how different the role is when you're not necessarily in charge of everything, but how you still need to cultivate the respect and that sort of demeanor with the children. And it's been absolutely fascinating. It's been such a great opportunity for me to observe the things that I've been able to see because I'm not, inundated with lessons, or I'm not deep, stressing about a parent event or something else like that. I've actually just been able to be with the children. And it's been it's been amazing, but it's been fascinating as a Montessorian to just sort of exist with them in their day to day and help them through, be that helping hand if they need it, but also step back and observe. Also, really getting into material making and looking at the classroom, looking at what pieces of the classroom need to be worked on, when as a guide, you're not really thinking about, how the name tags need to be redone or how the art shelf really needs to be reorganized, but you just don't have the bandwidth or space to think about it. And wow, it has kind of taken my breath away because, as Montessorians, we come to this work and every day is different. Every month is different. Every child is different. Every year is different. But every role is also different, and from my experience of being a lower elementary guide and then being in the administration and then starting this podcast and then also running a little virtual school for students and now being an assistant, it's been such a cool piece to my Montessori puzzle. And I just encourage any of you who are listening, as if you are an assistant working in a classroom, I would absolutely love to talk to you and to hear from you about your observations and how your days kind of look and how your experience is, because I really think this is a moment for, as a Montessori trained person being an assistant, understanding how hard that job is, being an adult in a classroom, but knowing that it's not your space, it's not your classroom, right? And that's been one of my hardest challenges because I am, I'm a disciplinarian. I like things done a certain way in my classroom, in my life. And that has been something that I thought was going to be a lot harder. And it was kind of hard at first. And the teacher that I work with, we get along absolutely great. But knowing that it's not my classroom, I am not in control. For somebody like me who has anxiety and sort of likes control, it was hard at first, but it has been absolutely so good for me to kind of relinquish that and kind of give it up to the universe and say, I'm just here to be here in the service of the children and the teacher that I work with. And it's been humbling, because all of the things that used to stress me out in the classroom aren't really as present anymore. And it's been kind of a breath of fresh air. Yeah, the days are still stressful. There are still some things that, children are they do some things sometimes and you just shake your head and you're like, what? Are you really? But it's been really good for me. So again, if you're an assistant and you have any advice, any interesting tidbits about your days, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at allthingsmontessoripod@gmail.com. You can DM me on Instagram. I would just love to hear from you. Be great. Another thing that's been absolutely fascinating is COVID in the classroom, because I haven't been in the classroom with COVID. And, our students are masked. We're masked. We don't have a vaccine mandate or anything. It's just strongly encouraged. And, there's so many things that I didn't know. I didn't know, one, how hard it is to work all day in a mask. Also, just how you do lunch, how you do singing, how you have to do singing outside, how you have to kind of think about the group size at all times, how you have to think about the spacing. And it's particularly challenging in lower elementary because they can't not be close to each other and they don't really have that spatial awareness. So that constant reminding, but also constant forgiveness, because this COVID experience that we've all had, it's new to everybody. It's not new anymore, but it was new in the beginning and it's still something that we're navigating. And where I live, Charlotte, they just lifted the mask mandate. I think it's lifted in a few days or something, which I don't know how I feel about. I know we need to move forward. It's just such an unknown time, and understanding that, yes, we adults are going through this, but also the children are really going through this. They're coming into school and they are in a mask, and while a lot of them don't bat an eye, a lot of them, I know it does get to them. So, we're lucky enough to have an outdoor environment right outside our classroom so the children can take a mask break from time to time when they need it, which I think is great. When the weather gets warmer, we're going to try to do as many things outside as possible, which I think is, a great opportunity for the children and for any kind of Montessori lesson. It's so fun to do a little bit of outdoor learning with that as well. It has just been so interesting. So again, if anyone has anything that they've really found interesting about working through COVID, if your school has done something that you're like, yeah, this is going really well, or any challenges, I would really appreciate and like to hear, because it's been something that I think everybody's really had to navigate through. That has been like completely fascinating. One of the most fun things about being an assistant is the teacher I work with. She's so great, and she knew that I was really into music. So, and she was like, I haven't done it yet. So I got the opportunity to set up a music shelf and really have enjoyed doing some music with the children. And that has been such a gift. I think that they really are clinging on to music right now. It's especially for lower elementary, it's such a lovely expression. And also it's a really good opportunity for those little ones to focus on something, playing the tone bars. I always start with teaching the pentatonic scale, which is an easy way to do it is just the black notes of the tone bars, but it's a 5-note scale and it just sounds really pleasing to the ear. So for a young child to be able to play that and hear how beautiful it is, it's been really, really great. So, for me, I struggled a lot in 2021, to say the least, not knowing where my direction was. I was feeling like I didn't want to go back in the classroom. I was kind of convinced that, I think I'm done with Montessori, because I felt like I felt stuck. I didn't know where to go next. And me returning to the classroom in this specific way has honestly been so healing for me. So again, if any of you have ever taken a step back from the classroom or had those times where you weren't sure if it's what you were supposed to be doing, always know that listening to yourself, trusting yourself, and knowing that wherever you get to with whatever decision you make is just the right one. And feeling how excited and happy I've felt around the children, and knowing that like I'm supposed to be with that energy. I'm supposed to be with this age group. I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. It's been really affirming. So I'm so excited about this next little season, I guess I could call it, of All Things Montessori. We're going to get into some more updates from Jamie. I'm so excited to talk with her. She's been doing such amazing work. If you haven't checked out Rising Tide Montessori, go to Instagram and look it up, or go to their website. It is so magnificent, and I'm absolutely so proud of her. So go ahead and check that out, and we will have an episode out soon. I'm going to continue with the teacher series. I think the teacher series is one of my favorite things that I've ever launched on the podcast. I think it's really fun to hear from the guides in the classroom, especially for maybe you parents who are listening out there, like hearing from a teacher's point of view. It's really, really fun. So we'll do that. I know that, well, I don't know about you guys, but conferences are coming up in the school year. So we have a parent-teacher conference episode, and I encourage you to give that a re-listen. It's a great one. And if you're feeling nervous about conferences, my best advice is, one, just be yourself and know that everybody in the conference wants the best for the child. Even if it's a particularly difficult situation, everybody is really wanting to work for the better of the kid and their academic growth and their potential as a human being, quite frankly. So just go into it knowing that, and it'll all be okay. It's a stressful time for sure, but you'll get through it. Lean on your support, lean on your assistant. If you ever need to vent, lean on your administration. And also know that I am always here via email, direct message. I've even done some Zoom meetings with some of my listeners. Just because I want to be there for this community, and community is something that is a big pillar of my personality. And I really want to help grow and flourish this community more than it already is. It's already so spectacular, but I really want to dig a little bit deeper into the community and find out how we can make it the strongest. So again, thank you all for being so patient with me. I'm back. I'm here. I'm so excited to continue talking, spreading the word about Montessori, and getting into really deep and interesting conversations with Montessorians and not Montessorians all about this beautiful methodology and how we can, spread the word about it, because I really do think it is the most incredible thing you can offer a child, and that then they can offer themselves to the world. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Send me an email, allthingsmontessoripod@gmail.com. You can always DM me on Instagram. It's just @allthingsmontessori. If you want to become a Patreon member, that's amazing. And we have all different kinds of levels that you can kind of choose there. But if you don't have the budget for it, it's not a big deal. Your support and your listenership means the absolute world. So thank you, thank you, thank you so, so, so much.